What if history's greatest treasure never sank beneath the ocean, but vanished beneath an endless sea of sand? During the final days of the American Civil War, a Confederate ship carrying an unimaginable fortune in CSA gold disappears without a trace after escaping an enemy attack. Decades later, the mystery remains unsolved, becoming one of history's greatest legends. In present-day Africa, Dr. Eva Rojas discovers a terrifying disease spreading through local communities. The infected patients all share one connection. They recently traveled to Mali. Convinced that a deadly outbreak is about to spiral out of control, Eva decides to uncover the truth, despite Mali being torn apart by civil war. But someone is watching her every move and is willing to kill to keep the secret buried. After surviving a brutal attack, Eva is rescued by Dirk Pitt, a fearless treasure hunter obsessed with finding the legendary Confederate ship lost over a century ago. When Dirk obtains a mysterious CSA coin traced back to Mali, he realizes that his lifelong dream may finally be within reach. Suddenly, two impossible mysteries become linked by the same destination: a lost treasure worth billions and a deadly disease threatening countless lives. Joined by Dirk's loyal partner Al Giordino, Dr. Eva and Dr. Frank Hopper, the unlikely team embarks on a dangerous journey into the heart of Mali. One group is searching for answers. The other is hunting for treasure. But none of them are prepared for the horrifying truth waiting in the desert. Because sometimes the greatest treasures don't bring fortune. They awaken nightmares that were never meant to be discovered. That night over dinner, Dirk finally opened up to Dr. Eva. He told her about the mysterious coin they had found and admitted that discovering the legendary lost ship had been his childhood dream. To him, this wasn't just another adventure. It was the dream he'd spent his entire life chasing. After reaching the port, Dr. Eva and Jack continued investigating the deadly epidemic, while Dirk and the others tracked down the man who had originally found the coin. But when they arrived, they discovered he had already died. Just like that, Dirk's only lead seemed to disappear. Then an old mosque nearby caught his attention. Hoping to find answers, they searched through its ancient records and uncovered a shocking detail. Years ago, a judge had investigated a mysterious shipwreck at the local port. According to the records, no one had survived and the powerful river currents had carried the ship far into unknown territory. For Dirk, this wasn't a dead end. It was hope. He immediately informed James and the team changed course toward Jo, convinced they were finally getting closer to the truth. During the journey, they found a strange layer of mud-like material stuck to their boat. It looked ordinary, but Dirk knew something wasn't right. Fast-moving water shouldn't leave deposits like that. Before they could investigate further, a military boat intercepted them. The officers kept asking only one question: "Where is the female doctor traveling with you?" The king had learned that two foreign doctors were investigating the epidemic and had ordered them stopped before they uncovered the truth. Dirk instantly realized something sinister was going on. Pretending not to understand English, he tricked the officers into bringing their boat closer. The moment they tied a rope between the boats, Dirk signaled his team. Full speed. The military boat flipped instantly. Agni cut the rope and they escaped. But the danger wasn't over. Two more patrol boats appeared and opened fire. Realizing they couldn't outrun them, Dirk sliced open the fuel tank before they jumped into the river. Seconds later, bullets struck the abandoned boat, triggering a massive explosion that destroyed the pursuing boats. Exhausted and barely alive, they reached shore and hid inside an abandoned house. Rudy asked if this meant giving up on the lost ship. Dirk shook his head. "We'll find the ship later. Right now we have to save the doctors before the military gets to them first." Rudy secretly crossed the border while Dirk and James searched for Eva and Jack. Meanwhile, Eva and Jack arrived at a silent village. No people. No voices. Only death. Inside the houses, Eva found entire families lying lifeless. After examining them, she confirmed that every victim had died from the same mysterious disease. The next morning, despite their heartbreak, they buried the dead with dignity. Later, Dr. Eva discovered an old well and climbed down to collect water samples. But before she could finish, soldiers stormed the village. Gunfire echoed everywhere. Terrified, Eva hid inside the well as people above were executed. Then a helicopter landed. Kazim stepped out and demanded that Jack reveal Eva's location. At the same time, Dirk and James arrived nearby. But Kazim had run out of patience. Without hesitation, he shot Jack dead and ordered his men to find Eva at any cost. Hidden in the chaos, Dirk and James watched helplessly as Kazım's men slaughtered everyone in sight. Dirk nearly lost his life too until Eva emerged from hiding and saved him. Jack's death devastated Eva. He had been more than a colleague, he had been her mentor and friend. But Dirk knew they couldn't stay. This place isn't safe anymore. We have to move. After escaping through military territory, they reached another settlement, only to be captured by horsemen and taken before King God Ego. When Eva explained that she was investigating a deadly epidemic, the king brought her to a chamber filled with victims. After examining them, Eva confirmed her worst fear. They had all died from the same disease. The king allowed them to stay and continue their investigation. While testing the local water supply, Eva uncovered a horrifying truth. The water had been poisoned. And it wasn't an accident. Someone had deliberately contaminated it. If we want to save these people, Eva Rojas warned, we have to find out who's behind this. The king agreed to help. But none of them realized that the truth waiting ahead was far darker and more terrifying than they could have imagined. Meanwhile, James tried to take his mind off the chaos by playing soccer with the local kids. But sometimes, destiny hides in the most ordinary moments. When the ball rolled too far, James chased after it and stumbled upon a hidden cave covered in ancient paintings. At first they looked like simple tribal art, until he realized they were telling the story of the very ship they had risked everything to find. According to the drawings, the legendary ship hadn't disappeared into the sea. It had been swallowed by the desert itself. Eva and Dirk examined the paintings and made a shocking discovery. 200 years ago, this wasteland had actually been a river. As they studied the images further, they noticed a fortress drawn beside it. Dirk formed a disturbing theory. What if the river never vanished? What if it was still flowing underground, carrying the poison responsible for Mali's deadly epidemic? Following the ancient river's path, they eventually found the fortress. But nearby stood something even stranger. A massive solar plant owned by Massard's company. Suspicious, the trio infiltrated the facility and uncovered its horrifying secret. The plant wasn't just producing energy. It was being used to dispose of radioactive toxic waste. Thousands of leaking containers had contaminated the underground river, poisoning the water supply of an entire nation. Suddenly everything made sense. The mysterious illness, the suffering, the countless deaths. Innocent families had been drinking poison without ever knowing it. At the same time, Al and Rudy delivered the lab reports to the US Embassy, revealing a truth almost too monstrous to believe. But before Eva, James, and Dirk could escape, Massard's men captured them. Eva confronted him directly. People are dying because of this. Massard insisted he was destroying hazardous waste safely, but when Eva explained that the chemicals were leaking into the river, fear crossed his face for the first time. Meanwhile, Dirk and James were chained to a truck and abandoned in the desert. Refusing to give up, Dirk used one of their precious gold coins to free them. After surviving the brutal heat and even transforming the wreckage of an old airplane into a makeshift sand glider, they finally reached a village and contacted Al. Using money from another gold coin, Dirk bought a jeep and searched for allies. Although General Zateb's old rivals refused to join the fight, they gave him a vehicle that once belonged to Kazım. With nothing left to lose, Dirk and James returned to the solar plant. By then, Massard had already begun erasing the evidence. The facility had been evacuated, explosives had been planted underground, and Eva had been kidnapped as Massard's helicopter prepared to leave. Eva seized her chance and jumped to safety. James located one of the bombs and disarmed it just in time, preventing a catastrophe that could have destroyed all proof of the crime. Furious, Kazım chased them across the desert in a helicopter, bullets raining down from above. James tossed the explosives behind them, and Kazım's gunfire triggered a chain of massive blasts. Then something unbelievable happened. The desert shifted, the sand collapsed, and rising from beneath centuries of burial, the legendary ship finally emerged. The treasure they had searched for all along was real. The trio rushed aboard and hid inside, but Kazım's forces surrounded them. As bullets ripped through the ship, hundreds of gold coins spilled across the deck. Then they discovered one final surprise, an ancient cannon that still worked. Together they took aim. One shot, one perfect hit. Kazım's helicopter exploded in the sky. Without their leader, his army surrendered and the nightmare finally came to an end. Back in America, Massard received his own punishment when an undercover agent poisoned him with the same toxic substance that had devastated Mali. In the end, Dirk and Eva chose compassion over greed. They left the treasure behind for the people of Mali, the people who had suffered the most and paid the highest price. Because sometimes the greatest treasure isn't gold. It's choosing humanity over selfishness, standing up for the truth when powerful people try to bury it, and remembering that while greed can destroy nations, courage has the power to save them. If you enjoyed this unforgettable adventure, don't forget to subscribe, because the next mystery might be even more incredible than this one.